Good evening, Eagles fans, and welcome to your daily dose of Birds Buzz right here on the Nest. I'm your host, diving deep into the world of Philadelphia football, where the passion runs as deep as the Schuylkill River. Picture this, it's a crisp fall night at Lincoln Financial Field, the crowd's roaring that iconic "Fly Eagles Fly" chant. But wait, something feels off this season. Have the defending Super Bowl champs lost their edge? Or is this just a temporary storm before they soar again? Buckle up, because tonight we're unpacking the Eagles' early 2025 woes, straight from the headlines, with insights that'll have you on the edge of your seat. Let's start with the big picture, folks. The Philadelphia Eagles are sitting at 4-2 after 6 games. Not a disaster on paper, right? But oh boy, if you've been watching, you know it's been anything but smooth sailing. These aren't the dominant Birds we saw hoist the Lombardi Trophy last year. No, the cracks are showing, and they're getting wider by the week. Remember those nail-biting early wins? They masked some issues, but the last 2 games? Brutal. Against the Giants on Thursday Night Football, the offense got completely shut out in the second half. 0 points, zip, nada. And just a week prior, they blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter to the Broncos. Heartbreaking stuff. The offense, once a high-flying machine, now ranks a dismal 30th in the league. That's not Eagles football, that's a wake-up call. Now, let's dive into the nitty-gritty on that offense. At the helm is Jalen Hurts, our dual-threat quarterback who's been nothing short of a Philly legend since stepping in. Remember his journey? From Alabama to Oklahoma, then drafted by the Eagles in 2020 amid doubts, only to lead us to that epic Super Bowl win in 2023. Wait, no, that was the first one. Fast forward to last year's repeat glory. But this season, Hurts and company are sputtering. The play calling's been called predictable by none other than veteran tackle Lane Johnson, a guy who's been anchoring that line since 2013 and knows a thing or two about protection. And then there's the A.J. Brown drama. Our star wide receiver, acquired in that blockbuster 2022 trade from the Titans, has been vocal about frustrations. Brown's a beast, with his route running and yards after catch that remind you of old-school greats like Terrell Owens during his Philly stint. But injuries are piling up too, like left guard Landon Dickerson sidelined, weakening that once impenetrable offensive line. Jason Kelce might be retired, but his brother Travis over in Kansas City would tell you, a shaky O-line spells trouble for any QB. Shifting gears to the defense. The unit that carried us through tough times. Under defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who's got decades of experience turning squads into stone walls, they've slipped. Ranking 19th in points allowed and 22nd in expected points per rush? That's a far cry from the suffocating D that dominated last year. Key departures hurt. Josh Sweat, now chasing quarterbacks elsewhere after his breakout sacks in the Super Bowl run. Milton Williams, a rotational beast on the line. Even corner Isaiah Rodgers and the ageless Darius Slay finding new homes. Slay, with his lockdown coverage since joining in 2020, was a fan favorite. His interceptions and trash talk embodied that Philly grit. Without them, the defense looks disjointed, like a puzzle missing pieces. And let's not forget the historical context here. The Eagles' defense has a legacy. Think back to Reggie White, the Minister of Defense, who terrorized QBs in the 80s and 90s, or Brian Dawkins, Weapon X, whose hits still echo in the link. This current slide. It's uncharacteristic, but it echoes the 2023 meltdown when we started 10-1 only to limp to 11-6 and a wild card exit. Speaking of that 2023 vibe, ESPN's Jeremy Fowler dropped a bombshell. An anonymous player said the locker room feels just like that chaotic year. Tense, frustrated, yikes. And enter John Gruden, the former head coach and Super Bowl winner with the Bucs back in 2002. On Pardon My Take today, Gruden broke it down, drawing from his own experiences. It's tough to repeat, he said, reminiscing about losing key players like Joe Jurevicius and Mike Alstott early in his title defense. But Gruden zeroed in on the Eagles' real issue: chemistry. The Eagles aren't the same team. The chemistry of the team is not the same. Some of their best players on that Super Bowl defense are playing elsewhere. They're not as good because the players that won the Super Bowl aren't there. Ouch, but spot on. He went further. You don't stay the same in pro football. You either get better or worse. Right now, they're not as good a team. And they don't look like they have a great chemistry. It just doesn't look like they care a lot about each other right now. Harsh words from a guy who knows the grind. but he's hoping they snap out of it. To add some flavor, let's imagine what the players might say. Picture this: I caught up with a fictional chat from Hurts post-game. "Look, we're family here in Philly," he'd say, flashing that trademark smile. "We've got the talent, AJ, Devonta Smith with his Heisman-winning hands, Saquon Barkley bulldozing runs like he did at Penn State. But we gotta lock in, trust the process like we did under Coach Sirianni." And Coach Nick Sirianni, in my make-believe presser, he's fiery. "This ain't over. We've got that Philly toughness. Remember the Snow Bowl in 2013 against the Lions? Or the Philly special in Super Bowl 52? We'll bounce back." Fans are chiming in too. I talked to a diehard at Pat Steaks. "These birds are resilient. We've hated the Cowboys since the 60s, crushed the Giants in rivalries that define the NFC East. This slump? Just fuel for the fire." Statistically, let's break it down. Offensively, the Eagles are averaging under 20 points per game lately. Compare that to last year's 28+. Hurts' completion percentage is down to 62% versus his career-high 67% in the championship run. Defensively, sacks are at a low 1.5 per game, half of what Sweat and company racked up. Seasonally, this could derail playoff hopes. The NFC East is brutal. Cowboys with Dak Prescott gunning for revenge after our Super Bowl thrashing. Giants rebuilding but sneaky. Commanders with their young guns. If the Eagles don't turn it around, we might see a wild card scrap instead of a bye. But trivia time to lighten the mood. Did you know the "Fly Eagles Fly" chant started in the 60s, evolving from "AGLS Eagles"? Or that our 2017 Super Bowl win over the Pats was Philly's first, sparking citywide parades that shut down Broad Street? Pop culture ties. Think the Eagles in "Invincible" with Mark Wahlberg, capturing that underdog spirit, or Rocky Balboa training to our fight song. Even in 2025, with current events like the Phillies' playoff push inspiring cross-sport unity in Philly, the Eagles embody that blue-collar hustle. Looking ahead, predictions? Week 7 against the Vikings is massive, a must-win to hit 5-2. Kirk Cousins and that Minnesota offense are no joke, but if our D steps up and the O-line gels, I see a 27-20 Eagles victory. Long-term, this funk could lead to draft tweaks, maybe snagging a stud lineman in 2026. Expert opinion. I'd say, like Gruden, chemistry's key. Teams like the 90s Cowboys repeated by bonding. We can too. Implications? A turnaround secures another NFC title shot. A slide? Rebuild whispers. In closing, Eagles Nation, don't lose faith. This team's got heart, the passionate fans packing the link, tailgating with cheesesteaks and brotherly love. We've risen from ashes before, like after the Andy Reid era into the Doug Peterson magic. So, tune in Sunday for that Vikings clash. Grab your green gear, chant loud, and let's will these birds to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. What's your take? Hit the comments, subscribe for more breakdowns, and remember, in Philly, we bleed green. Until next time, this is your Eagles anchor signing off.